When a group of men gathered in December of 1854 to build a city, they needed a few basic things: a reliable source of water, tools and building materials, a street plan, and a cemetery. Topeka grew rapidly, and within 5 years, building along Kansas Avenue had progressed more than a half mile. Soon, the cemetery would be part of the commercial landscape. Dr. Franklin Crane offered his 40-acre homestead east of town. The Topeka Cemetery Association was incorporated, and the first burial was in December 1859. Topeka Cemetery was the city's primary burial site for the first 50 years. Rochester Cemetery in North Topeka opened in 1857, but with no bridge over the river yet, it wasn't practical for people living south of the river. Every walk of life is represented at Topeka Cemetery. Veterans of every war since the War of 1812 are buried here, and of course it is the final resting place of Vice President Charles Curtis, the first Vice President of color. Charles Curtis was a young teenager living on the reservation with his grandparents in 1875. The tribe was being relocated to Oklahoma, and Charles wanted to go with his family, but his grandmother sent him back to Topeka for school. He became a powerful figure as Senate Majority Leader, and at the 1928 Republican Convention, he was named as Herbert Hoover's running mate. Cyrus Holliday was just 28 years old when he arrived in Kansas Territory to build his dream. His vision created Topeka's lifeblood, the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway. Holliday also chose the site for the State House and donated the land. The Gage Monument is a memorial to the Topekans who fought in what is known as the Battle of the Blue during the Civil War. They were not enlisted soldiers. They were the Home Guard. 14 of the Topekans killed in that battle are in a mass grave behind the monument. To the north of them is the section devoted to veterans of that war. With all the development around it, it is hard to see that Topeka Cemetery sits atop a hill, and from the cemetery, the many city founders and builders can continue to look upon what they built. Through tours and events, Topeka Cemetery continues to keep the capital city's vibrant history alive. Mount Auburn Cemetery was developed in the 1900s on ground originally platted for homes. It was created by a group of white businessmen, led by a funeral director who recruited black clergy to join them in marketing the cemetery to the black community. Like Topeka Cemetery, it had no sections designated for any race. James Guy was a prominent black lawyer. Around 1890, he pressed the lawsuit that put black teachers in the segregated elementary schools. For a time, he employed as his legal secretary the mother of poet Langston Hughes. Guy was active in civil rights issues and was a charter member of the NAACP. Elisha Scott was the patriarch of a family of lawyers that pressed civil rights cases in Topeka and beyond. He and two of his sons were among the lawyers who brought the Brown v. Board case that resulted in the Supreme Court ruling that desegregated all American schools. Nick Childs published the largest black newspaper west of the Mississippi. The Plain Dealer started out as a local paper, but Childs saw opportunities to reach a broader audience and kept expanding his reach. Mount Auburn is owned by the city of Topeka. It remains an active cemetery.
Rochester Cemetery was first chartered in 1885, and it has come to be the last home for several prominent North Topekans. This is the grave of Samuel Reeder. He is most notable for the diaries he kept from the age of 13 up until close to his death. Reeder also was an illustrator and did several paintings of the battles he was in during the Bleeding Kansas era. Reeder became a prominent Topekan, and he actually helped establish Rochester Cemetery. This is the grave of Amelia Van Vliet. Amelia died in December 1895 of complications due to tuberculosis. Amelia's body was one of the first to be discovered in the autopsy suites at the Kansas Medical College. She was the first identified victim of the grave robbing scandal that rocked Topeka in 1895. The time when grave robbing and dissection were both very taboo topics. Amelia was later reinterred here at Rochester. The area I'm standing in may look empty, but it is not. This is actually the county poor farm section. There are many, many people buried here. How many, we can't actually know for sure. This is the plot of land that was given over to the Shawnee County Poor Farm and the paupers section. If someone wasn't able to afford a burial, or if they were unclaimed by their loved ones, they would wind up here, usually without a marker. Cyrus Packard, who is buried here, is one of the few veterans of the War of 1812 to be buried in Rochester Cemetery. He also is said to have run one of the Underground Railroad stations. These are only a few of the tales of people who are interred here at Rochester Cemetery. Point of pride for Rochester Cemetery is that it has never been a segregated cemetery. Everyone is equal. It is also one of the oldest surviving cemeteries in Shawnee County. While there is a lot of lore and legends that surround Rochester Cemetery, it is the true story of those who are buried here, those who lived and worked and died in Topeka and called it home, that truly make Rochester Cemetery rich in history.